Welcome to today's podcast episode, everyone. We've got a very exciting guest for you guys. For those of you just joining the podcast, we're E.N.G Media, and we specialize in helping software and technology companies scale their revenue. So if you want to learn how to take your software or tech business to the next level, make sure to stick around. And if you're interested in a free growth consultation, just drop us a word growth in the DMs. But without further ado, Zulfiya, thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. I'm really excited to dive into, all the awesome things that you're working on. So I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much, Tyson, for having me.
Absolutely. So I think it's probably best for us just to start by, maybe you walking us through kind of like your background in data and accounting and really how that's led you to launching, Omadli Group.
Thank you. Absolutely. So I started my journey back as an accountant many, many years ago, and I saw just opportunity on repetitive tasks. As an accountant, back then I would be doing the same things every month, which is closing books, which is reporting, financial reporting, like making sure that P&L looks good and balance sheet look good. But there's multiple steps that need to be happening before that end process is all done, like bank reconciliations. And I've noticed that I've kind of been doing it every month. And I started questioning it. All right, what's the better way of doing it? Why am I getting the information out of the system and manipulating each way? It's already in there. Why can't it just come in a way that I would like it to be? And that's where I kind of started questioning the status quo, started tinkering around with Visual Basics. That was my first I would say rendezvous into looking into syntax. And after that, I started, seeing what IT department is doing and got fascinated because they had ability to process millions rows of data and press F5 button, all of a sudden everything got refreshed. And I was like, all right, I need to figure this out. This sounds like a magic. How can I do this? I got a great opportunity to move into the IT department. So I did complete 180 on my career from accountant to the system analyst back then. And then but my passion, I figured out my passion was business intelligence. My passion was looking at the data and giving these, not just, I would say, KPIs, but something that actually can provide business insights to make those strategic bets, inform strategic bets.
I love it. And I think, yeah, the importance to be able to make data driven decisions is huge. And I think we talked about this last time as well. Like, kind of no matter the size of the organization, there are a lot of businesses out there that don't really know how to leverage their data or kind of collect it and make the best use of it, really. And so I know, you did mention that every client usually looks to work when they're working with you, they want essentially the same three dashboards. And really, it's retention, marketing attribution, and then also executive reporting as well. Why would you say that, maybe why are these so critical? And where do you feel like most companies fall short when it comes to these dashboards?
Absolutely. So a lot of companies, everyone wants leads. Everyone wants more leads, more revenue, right?
Right.
Everybody's kind of like, I want more leads. But then, all right, then different channels that can generate those leads. There is a
Yeah.
Google ads, there's a Facebook ads, right? And there's also, let's say, different campaigns that could be run through HubSpot or Salesforce. But then what's really working? What's not really working? What
Right.
promos are working? What are they bringing? What kind of traffic are they bringing? Is this a new traffic or are these current clients that are buying in? What is the gap basically? Instead of spending the money, and those are not cheap. The
Right.
marketing efforts are never affordable. They're usually very expensive, but you want to kind of know, all right, quickly pivot. If this is a channel that's not yielding the high return, well, let's stop it. Let's repivot into something. Oh, but this channel is bringing more leads. And this is what I saw that the top enterprise leadership was asking me to create to look at daily basis so they can quickly pivot their strategies to create success rather than wasting money and then looking at it at the end of the month and then figuring out, well, it didn't work. But also another thing that there was a bonus one dashboard and I decided that, I actually decided to put them as a product now in my business because I feel like this is just, if the businesses want to grow, they don't want to fly blind.
Right.
And the bonus is leads. It uncovers, okay, well, now these leads are coming through, but how many of them are followed up? How many of them are showing up? How many of them are, let's say, booked? What's the conversion rate? And it really shows not just the history of a lead to customer, but also shows the leaks in your business.
Mm.
It shows you what happened with the 2,500 leads that came in, but all of a sudden you only have 2% converting. But then you had people that were interested, and what happened? At what stage did they fall off, and why did they
Right.
fall off? And it kind of opens up. It's like, we don't need more leads. You need business process.
100%.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's always a huge misconception too when I'm talking to businesses. Their main thing is like if we just have more leads, but then when you get to look at their whole entire funnel, there are all those leaks. And so like the more you put in, the more that it kind of just leaks through. And so it's really like patching those up is like the biggest thing for results, right?
yeah, and then it leads to business operation. The interesting part, business operation takes work. And a lot of times people might think, oh, we'll just get a new leads basically because you just pay the X amount of money and now like that funnel is working, right? Like whether leads are coming to your website or whether you launching some campaigns, right? And now it's like seems like you doing something to generate more revenue. But on reality, it doesn't really work because you don't have business operation set up systems and processes that are clear that are nurturing these leads. And then you go back and like, well, this is not working. So I'm going to go and try to spend more money on ads. But
Right.
to put together systems and processes actually take, well, let's step back, let's audit it. Let's figure out what part the leakage is happening and drop off is happening. And then what do we need? Do we need to train the staff? Do we need to put automation in there? Do we need to invest? Like it all requires time and energy investment in terms of figuring it out. And it's so much easier just to go and kind of buy another marketing thing, and think,
Uh-huh.
oh, well, like instead of just a quick fix rather than looking at the business process and now thinking about, oh, well, the staff is not trained, but we don't have enough resources here, or we don't have a process or standard operating procedure in place to automate
Yeah.
this even. That's
100,
that kind of like is more, I would say, now this is more root of cause that
yeah.
requires time and much more thought to it.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I see that just time and time again. And it's really like you want to get one system working first before trying to go and add a bunch of new things and like new friction that you kind of have to get working when it comes to lead generation. And so it really requires like all your effort and putting in like the right systems and processes in that one system first to get it to work before like looking to replicate that success across different channels. And I see that the same like shiny object syndrome is kind of what I've heard it be called when it comes to not only different types of marketing tools, but also like AI. And I know that a lot of your clients, based off what you told me, kind of they come to you and they're like, Zofia, I don't really know exactly what type of like where I should fit AI into my business. And
Yes.
so from that, I know you're launching your AI coaching program for these small businesses. Like, what would you say are maybe some things that inspired like you to start this coaching program? And then also, what are some of the biggest problems that you're helping your clients solve to kind of tie everything all together?
Absolutely. My biggest thing why I love working and just why I love entrepreneurship is a problem solving. Every time I like talking to the business owner. I like to hear their problems and my mind's like, "Oh, all right." Right away it's like I want to reach for the coaching program. I just want to reach the wider net and help more business owners to demystify AI. And the shiny object is so true. There's so much marketing around AI, right? But when it comes to practical example, well, practically, what can AI help me with? And this is where we
Right.
do the AI audit. This will figure out what is return on investment on this AI that you want an AI tool, system, or agent that we want to put in. Does it make sense here, or is it just automation? Because automation has been here before AI. AI is now giving ability to talk to your data, giving ability for it to execute on your behalf and kind of report back to you, have a conversation with your data, or have a conversation with the function. Automation has been here way before AI. Data analytics has been here before AI. So I kind of like that where we are at because I think with the AI notion, a lot of businesses woke up because I talk to business owners and a lot of them still operate like since 2012, for example. There's no standard operating procedures, Excel spreadsheets everywhere, data is dispersed everywhere. Nobody knows. There isn't like consolidations. Companies that are trying to scale that are taking their business to 10, 20, 30, 40 million dollars, they realize one thing. They try to remove the human element of I say human element in manual work as much as possible.
Okay.
Because even if you follow Cody Sanchez, she talks a lot about right different business, and that's what the whole model is. She comes into dilapidated, I would say, or more like businesses that are not optimized. And then she
Yeah.
optimizes everything from top to bottom of their business operations. And now that business is worth so much more than before. because
Yeah.
she does entire cleanup of their business. So if anyone wants to scale their business or wants to have their business evaluated 10 times more, number one thing, they should be looking at automating their business operations. And the way they do that is by aggregating and creating centralized database. What I mean by that is you have every business runs on multiple different systems that they use, from HubSpots with a marketing channel to accounting to HR to, let's say, some type of a CRM system that they might have, and also some type of a record system, like where all the purchasing is happening, for example. So what they do is they take all of the data from all of the systems, put in one source of truth into database, and now they can lay over um, any type of visualization tools to visualize this data across all the systems instead of clicking manually and seeing what's happening. But they have systems talking to each other, and then they can layer over AI now as well to create
Uh,
agents that they can access the systems in the same time and give them insights in much rapid ways.
I love it. I love that. It really like it sounds like you kind of just gave everybody in the audience like a step-by-step process on kind of what they should do first, all the way up until they should implement AI agents in this case into their business. And I think that that's huge, like kind of understanding the way that process works. And when it comes to people wanting to scale their business, I know, I've been somebody who's thought this as well, but maybe if I am somebody comparing the cost of automation versus maybe just paying a VA or doing a manual workflow myself. What are some things that you would want me to know that would help me make the right decision if I'm looking at implementing AI and automation?
100%. I think a lot of times business owners, we all look at nominal cost value of the implementation versus to what we have right now. So in the case of, say, if you wanted to automate administrative work in your in your organization and you looking, well, I already have a virtual assistant helping me out, let's say $1,000 a month or something like that, helping me out. Now the system will cost me to automate $5,000 a month or something, or even $7,000 a month. Why I'm paying the virtual assistant to do this, for example, sounds like the system is more expensive to me. But what people are not seeing is that, for example, well, this is your cost, but every time if you're scaling, if you're growing, now you need to assign more tasks to that virtual assistant. Now you
Yep.
probably will bring another virtual assistant, or that virtual assistant needs to go on a vacation, or you need to constantly train them. For
Right.
example, if that virtual assistant goes out, they would want to do something else with their life, or you would have to bring another person, you have to train them all over again. With AI agents, right, you can keep the same resources now and reallocate that virtual assistant to do some more high value add tasks. Because what happens is most business owners face one of the problems is churn. Churn not only on the customers, but also churn on their staff, on their team. And all
Right.
that knowledge that they've given now has to be transferred to somebody else. They have to go hire that person, they have to train that person all over again, for example. Even if they have standard operating procedures, there's still onboarding phase where that person needs to feel comfortable. So, and people churn usually due to the work that's not interesting. If you do something
Right.
monotonous, it's not fulfilling, it's not fun. You can't, everybody wants to do better than that, right? So what I say is here that you have an agent that you kind of treat as a virtual employee that you can add on task to for that cost. And it will help you to scale as well at the fixed cost.
Yeah.
Yes, you do have most of the times you have to maintain that agent because it's almost like a digital asset. You need to make sure the data is encrypted, protected, and it's a cloud-based tool basically.
Hmm.
So you need to make sure it's backed up. But it helps you to now allocate the resources of that virtual assistant, give them more high value task, and then
Yeah.
use that admin, that virtual assistant that you have to kind of take care of all the minutia and really repetitive tasks at a high volume, more consistently, more predictable as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I never really even thought about the aspect of like how leveraging AI assistance, it could help you reduce churn like from employees with a lot of those repetitive tasks. And then it is more scalable and an efficient solution than constantly having to train a VA. And then as far as like how the AI is able to execute on the task as well is probably even twice, even more faster than a normal like VA or manual workflow. So that definitely, that makes a ton of sense. And I appreciate you kind of breaking that down as well. And really, like the next question that I would love to ask is like, What are maybe some goals for you or for Omadli Group in the next 12 months? Are you guys rolling out any kind of new initiatives? I know we kind of talked about the AI coaching program. Is there anything that you would like to communicate out?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm rolling out the AI weekly coaching for business owners, and I'm also trying to help the niche that I'm pursuing right now. It's construction adjacent. I've just
Okay.
looked at that. I've been helping recently construction companies in automating their business operations, helping them to scale with AIs, just rolling out these AI agents that help them to take the calls, help them to
Yeah.
do project management, help to comply with OSHA, for example, with the safety regulations that there are there, help them to do bids estimate. So
Yeah.
help them to kind of bring in tech to take care of all those repetitive work to get them more money with the resources that they have, with the physical human resources that they have. And that's been kind of my focus of rolling out the products, AI agents in that, and also making them more like the way I look at the AI agents that we have. So it's a great combo that I'm seeing. But with our data analytics side, you still need that because we're rolling out our agents are with the performance reviews together. So what I mean by so, for example, every agent, if I'm looking at the receptionist that I'm rolling out, it comes with its own dashboard. Look how well I'm performing. Look how many calls I closed for you. Look how many calls I've answered for you. Look how many I routed for you and that turned to your customers. This is how you see the ROI on your agent. It's almost like think of agents are virtual employees. You don't have to do performance check on. It
I
gives
love
you
it.
that dashboard, but I also want to paint the picture a little bit more. I want to add on. So the way I look at the virtual assistants are virtual agents, like interns, or let's say the employee that you train on all your proprietary data, on your business, on your brand, on your products and your services. And then you also fine tune them. You give them a feedback, just like you would give to employee, for example. Now, I would or you would give them a new set of skills. The way we do this, our agents are will be most likely like they are like well, I'm a receptionist in construction field. I have experience in these type of trade jobs. I have experience with this type of a tech stack. For example, I know Jobber or I know Copper is one of the systems that's very famous in construction field, for example. So it's almost like like a resume of a that how a resume goes in would be like, this is my responsibilities, this is my technological stack, this is what I'm familiar with. And each time these agents will perform more tasks, more experience they will get, more
Wow.
knowledge they get. But that's why the feedback looping is very important because they will get more exposure and they will get more experience and will be helping more.
100%. No, that's huge. And I think you're right on track with kind of the industry that you're targeting. I work with a few companies in the construction space as well, mainly like in the real estate space. And, I'm not naturally an integrator. And so as I focus on like the marketing activities, they're also kind of leaning on me for like the automation and like helping them scale like all their operations. And like maybe they have a front desk assistant, but she's not able to handle like all of the projects that they're working on. And so maybe there's some people in my network that I can connect with you that would kind of help out a ton, which is awesome. And one thing that I'm always curious as well, especially from a marketing perspective, and especially with construction, is like, how are you getting in front of your ICP and letting them know, like bringing awareness to all the stuff that you guys are working on? Because I know they're busy at the jobs, like they're not necessarily in their email or on LinkedIn as much as like other businesses are. A lot of the times when I was reaching out to them, I was cold calling, I was doing different stuff on social media platforms. But do you have like any kind of strategy or way to get in front of your ICP?
This is such a good question, Tyson, that you're asking me. So this is I've come to realization of a construction adjacent after doing all these projects as a service business. And I've realized like I have the vertical that's lining up and I could help more people in that vertical. And right now I am attending, for example, on Wednesday, I'm attending local community event that the
Nice.
subcontractor is going to be in. And that's where I can get in front of them and kind of talk to them. So I'm trying to do much more hyper focused, I'd say local events or and another thing that I'm thinking is cold calling just locally, like stopping by the offices that are here, a
Yeah.
local flooring, local, I would say, plumbing, and local electrician. Just I also am looking for companies that would be interested in automating the process. They're kind of frustrated with how things are right now, frustrated with the manual process, and would like to scale their business and would like to really see what AI could do for them.
Yeah, 1,000%. I love that you're blending in data analytics with the type of AI services that you're offering because, like I mentioned, some of my clients, if I told them that an AI agent could come in and kind of help them like streamline a lot of the operations that they're doing, they wouldn't really know where to look or how to what that to see versus if they just see like a dashboard, simply like, hey, we answered this many calls, we helped you set up this many quotes. That's all that they need, and that would
Yes.
be
And I'll tell you something, Tyson. We work with one client right now before we our implementation of our AI receptionist. So their app offered dashboard as well, like to see how many, what's the how many calls they've been picking up in their service business. And I've realized 30%, not even 30% of calls gets answered. So there is a not even we looked for entire year, kind of just like, it's everywhere with not even 30%. Most
yeah.
go to missed, voicemails, busy, or rings and it doesn't. So because I understand why. A lot of these small businesses, right? They can't afford, let's say, multiple people or they bit too busy. They're too busy out there, or answering the calls that getting through right now. And
Yeah.
sometimes even those calls are not even qualified leads. They're not even
Right.
for them, but they spend take time. There are calls that we audit sometimes that go over 2 minutes. And at the end, for example, the person is not really qualifying for them. So this is where we're filling in those gaps with our AI agent that now could be showing them, well, this how many calls have answered. This is what we have rerouted. This is how many, like, let's say template, like a quotes or whatever that usually most businesses what I've noticed is they send some type of before they give the estimate, they send them some type of form to complete so they can give them some type of estimate or they do something. They don't just give them a quote. So we're trying to kind of bridge that gap and speed up the sales cycle for them.
Yeah, no, that's huge. Yeah, there's always that tough balance between where you want to like qualify a lead, but you don't want to add too much friction to where they kind of just jump
Yes.
off. But it really depends, like you said, if the construction company you're working with is selling something that's really high ticket, then a qualified customer would take the time to fill out a little bit more details about what they want to quote on or what they need. And that will help filter, like you said, some of those unqualified leads. And to be able to see that from like the AI agent's dashboard would be super awesome, I
And
think.
then another thing I want to add on, for example, what we
Uh,
see with the larger construction people, construction business owners, what they want is they want to show up in front of their customers in a professional way. And for
yeah,
example, construction business leaders, they love what they do. They're
yeah,
hands-on, they're technical in their field. They don't really want to be bogged down with administrative work, but they still want to show up very much prepared in front of their customer. So what we do, we automate the entire client onboarding process for them.
oh
So
wow,
they can come as prepared as possible in front of their customer.
yeah.
And all of that admin work could be managed for them. All putting together that onboarding process, onboarding documents for them.
Yeah, no, I love that. It all makes a ton of sense. I mean, like I mentioned, there's definitely some people I'd love to introduce you to after the podcast here.
Thank
And
you.
really with that, of course, and with your goal being to, really expand into the construction vertical and, offer all these AI solutions. I always love to ask this question. Like if we were hypothetically speaking and you could wave, a magic wand and you could solve one thing that's maybe holding you back from that goal or that's kind of in your way, do you know maybe what that one thing would be?
Yes, absolutely. Magic wand would be something I think AI models are going to get expensive. And the gap between people that know how to use AI in their business is going to get widened. So that will impact the social and financial, economical situations for a lot of people in societies. And I wish that gap was much smaller.
100%. I think when it comes to business too, yeah, some are going to thrive and then some are going to kind of have a lot of, I guess, struggle more with the adoption of AI. So hopefully, with you providing coaching, I know you're posting a ton of content as well on social media. You can
Thank you.
kind of help educate your audience and do your part to like shrinking that gap. Hopefully, I know that there's a lot of people in the space talking about it, and hopefully, we can all kind of collaborate together so that way the majority of businesses can win. And that really leads me to, my last question here. If there is anybody that wants to check out what Zulfiya is doing, maybe they want to look at the Omadli Group, really outside of your guys' website, what would be like the best social media platform for them to go to and connect with you?
Absolutely. I'm available on LinkedIn as well as on Instagram, Zulfiya Forsythe. And if you message me AI checklist, then I know you're coming from this podcast, and I will send you. I have this score thing that I put together for business owners to see how well they prepared for AI. So you assign the score for them. And I would love to share that with you.
I love that. Well, you heard her. So DM, Zofia AI checklist, and she'll know that you're coming from this podcast here. And I'll make sure to include all the links in the
Thank
description
you.
of this video to your website and all of that good stuff. I highly recommend that you guys do go check out Omadli Group and all the awesome things that they're working. But other than that, thank you so much again, Zofia, for your time and for your insights today. We'll catch you guys in the next video.
Thank you.